Before we talk about anything today, I want to address the passing of Jason David Frank at 49 years old yesterday. He was most known for his role as Tommy Oliver, the Green and White Ranger in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I had the pleasure of meeting Jason multiple times. He came to the Cincinnati Comic Expo quite a few years. He also came to Comics to Games one year, the comic book store right next to where we are here in Florence, Kentucky. And he was one of the guys who would get up out of his booth and walk the floor and meet and talk to people. He was such a kind and caring person who really gave back to the community that loved him so much. Jason David Frank took his own life yesterday, and the fact that such a wonderful man had to suffer in silence for so many years is absolutely heartbreaking. I liked Power Rangers as a kid, and I still enjoy it today, but it was never something that was really at the forefront of my hobbies. But I always appreciated Jason David Frank and what he gave back to the Power Rangers community, just the wider community in general. In my mind, he has always been a great man. But in light of what has happened, to me, he will always be a hero. Rest in peace, Jason David Frank. We'll miss you greatly. A very sad note to start on today, but we've got a bunch of other stories to talk about, like the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But before we get into that, let's hear from our sponsor. The Nostalgic Network is able to do what we do because of our store, Nostalgic Video Games in Florence, Kentucky, where we buy, sell, and trade retro to modern video games and vintage toys. Get ready because Black Friday is this week, and we are running our Black Friday sale all the way through to the end of December, where you buy 3 games, get 1 free. We also have console bundles and a few other deals going on, so if you have a gamer in the family that you want to get a special, unique Christmas gift for, come on down and see us, don't hesitate. And if you don't quite know what they're looking for, we offer gift cards, so let them pick themselves. We are buckling down for this holiday season, and we cannot wait to see you. So now, on with the news. So major news, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out, and wow. Adam and I streamed it on Friday and Saturday, and I waited like 45 minutes in line to pick it up. And honestly, can't believe I paid $60 for that game. There are a ton of performance issues and a lot of people are criticizing it online. I even had a friend of mine say that his experiences with this game were worse than Cyberpunk. But at least Cyberpunk had a narrative and characters that you could care about. Despite these performance issues, it didn't stop Scarlet and Violet from being the most pre-ordered Pokemon game in the series history. That was the busiest I'd seen a GameStop in probably 10 years. So the Pokemon train isn't stopping anytime soon. But that's why I think bringing these issues to Game Freak's attention is really, really important. The animation is subpar and the open world feels very barren. There are items everywhere and it holds your hand for the first 2 hours of the game until you actually get into the Pokemon grind mentality. After you get into it, yeah, the core Pokemon mechanics are there, with battling and capturing and exploring. The open world is fun and exciting and a great new direction for the franchise in general, but it doesn't stop it from feeling unfinished and empty. There really isn't a single moment in this game where it feels optimized and like it's running properly. My favorite is like if a character is 20 feet away, they drop down to like 10 frames a second. They look like everyone's moving in stop motion in the background. To me, it feels like an early 3DS title put on the Nintendo Switch that they're charging $60. In the end, it's still a Pokemon game, and you can still find tons of fun. I really hope Game Freak puts the effort into fixing this game because with some tinkering, I think it could be one of the best Pokemon games in recent history. But as it stands right now, I'm kind of embarrassed that I can see that on my bank statement. So we'll absolutely stay tuned and let you guys know if any new updates or information is pushed out about the game. If you bought or pre-ordered Pokemon Scarlet or Violet, let me know what you guys think down in the comments because I've heard mixed reviews from a lot of people. I've heard some people who absolutely love it and it's their new favorite Pokemon game, and people who have returned it day one because it was so disappointing and broken. On the topic of Pokemon, they also released the 1000th Pokemon. That's right, we're moving into quadruple digits. And here he is, Goldango? I'm gonna say Goldango, I think that sounds cooler. I think IGN and Kotaku said it the best. He kind of looks like the Apple Jacks mascot, but like a Funko Pop, like Gold Chase version with a fanny pack. Really isn't doing it for me. A lot of the Pokemon design in recent eras has sort of driven away from the standard Pokemon aesthetic for me. The early Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games were awesome because those Pokemon felt like actual creatures. They felt like things that could exist in some other world. They were inspired by real-life animals, but in the end, they were animals. It makes sense for ghost types, but like, I've got a dog with Danishes for ears, and then there's this thing, which evolves from Gimmicool, which is kind of like a D&D mimic chest thing. But once you collect enough gold, he evolves into Goldengo. I would have really loved to see something fantastic for the 1000th Pokemon, but this really seems a bit anticlimactic for me. The mechanic for which he evolves with is really interesting, and I love to see Pokemon with unique ways of evolving. So yeah, maybe it's a little weird, but it is a landmark milestone in the Pokemon franchise history. We have over 1,000 Pokemon in the Pokédex. Bonkers, this franchise is unstoppable. We'll take a little break from Nintendo news and bring you over to a little bit of Sega mischief going on. Yuji Naka, one of the original designers and creators of Sonic the Hedgehog, has been arrested for insider trading, along with a few other people, most notably Taisuke Sasaki, most known for the Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts franchises.
Footage is a bit jank and I screw it up a little bit here, but in 2020 a game called Dragon Quest Tact, a mobile game, came out, and it was developed by a studio called Aiming.
Apparently, Sasaki and Naka were aware of this deal that was going on before it was announced to the public, and they bought a bunch of shares in Aiming on the cheap before its stock price presumably skyrocketed after the announcement of Dragon Warrior Tact. Little shady, little sleazy, and this just happened, so there's really no word on what's going on, so I guess we'll just have to stay tuned and see what happens. Yuji Naka recently did Balan Wonderland, which was a big swing and a miss. So to end on a much more positive note, we have the announcement of the Mario Kart 8 Booster Course Pass Wave 3. That's a mouthful. December 7th, this new DLC pack will release with 8 new courses, including some all-time classics. So the list of courses is as follows: the Tour London Hoop, GBA Boo Lake, 3DS Rock Mountain, Wii Maple Treeway, which is one of the prettiest Mario Kart maps of all time. Cannot wait to see what that looks like on the Nintendo Switch. Tour Berlin Byways, DS Peach Gardens, Tour Merry Mountain, and the 3DS Rainbow Road, which is one of the largest and craziest Mario Kart maps that they've ever done, which is only one lap. With the slightly disappointing wave that was released earlier this year, with the subpar remaster of Coconut Mall, this is a breath of fresh air, and I really hope that they knock it out of the park with these new maps. Which map are you guys most excited for? Let me know in the comments. And that's pretty much everything I've got to talk about today. Star Wars Andor is really starting to wrap up, and I am really excited for this climactic end. We also had the announcement of a brand new GAMERA series on Netflix. How long has it been? When was the last GAMERA thing released? I will always be a Godzilla fanboy at heart, but I love GAMERA, and I absolutely love the GAMERA Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes. So it's super awesome to see this kaiju coming back, and I cannot wait to see what they do with him. That's pretty much all I've got for today, so if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Nostalgic Network News, and to give you more updates on some of these developing stories. So thanks for tuning in to the Nostalgic Network, and I'll see you next time.